Romantic Home family. I am Olivia with Olivia's Romantic Home, and in today's video I am so excited to share with you guys 9 DIY, Dollar Tree, and free fall decor crafts. So this is episode 4 in my huge I Love Fall series. Don't forget to check out the rest of the episodes and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's totally free and it helps me out so much because I am a full-time content creator. It's also going to enter you guys into my new giveaway for this week. I'm going to announce that very soon. To find the giveaway winners, please go to my community tab and just check for your username on YouTube. Okay, listen, let's jump to this awesome video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and plug in those glue guns, get out your glitter and paint, and let's get to crafting. So for some of these DIYs today, we are going to collect items from nature. If you don't have these items, you can also just grab them from your local grocery store or craft store. So in my backyard, I do have this beautiful rose bush, and you can tell its buds are on its way out. So I'm going to go ahead and clip it back. And when you clip back your rose bush, you want to clip it back to the spot where it has 5 leaves if all of your petals or all of your buds have already bloomed. I have my pretty little thrift store basket, and I'm just going to begin to collect flowers and leaves in and around my backyard for the first part of today's DIY. I want you guys to enjoy this bit of nature. I had a recent subscriber say to me that they were living in a really small home and they didn't have much to craft with except for natural items. So I hope that this inspires you. Another thing we want to do is notice the outdoor nature. My maple tree is already blooming with fall leaves, so take a look in your yard. Do you all have fall leaves? So I'm taking the beautiful florals that I collected in my yard, and they're not
You know, full on, the prettiest at the peak bloom summer florals. They're more kind of end of summer florals, or I've let everything bloom in my yard and I'm just kind of collecting, the beautiful nature, even though it's not at its peak, I guess you would say. So maybe this is kind of like a shabby chic teapot floral, but I encourage you all to let your flowers bloom and then scoop them up towards the end. Create a pretty little floral in any type of floral container that you have. It doesn't have to be a vintage teapot, but I just thought this would be so pretty, and it really accented all of the beautiful florals from my yard. And it's kind of a messy floral, but I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to feel like a cottage garden. Okay, the next thing I want to do is take the remaining florals and put them on just a baking sheet, because I'm going to try some different ways of doing pressed flower. So I went online to find several different tutorials to try to let you know which ones were the best. In the first dried flower or pressed flower tutorial we're going to try, they said to use rice. So I had some rice that was out of date. I'd been saving it to use for crafting, and so I just spread it on the bottom of one of my pans and then put the flowers in. So supposedly you can take rice, put your flowers in, then cover it with rice and bake it. It's set at 270 degrees for 2 hours, but I do believe that that was too long, unless you just really want some really nice brown dried flowers. Maybe I didn't follow the instructions on it perfectly, but it wasn't probably my favorite. But I will tell you, it looks like a beautiful flower casserole going in. So once you have all of your flowers on top of the rice, you're simply going to take another layer of rice and put that over the flowers. And I will tell you, if I was a fairy, this would be what I would want for dinner. It's funny because my daughter and I were talking about how when she was little, I used to call her my little fairy. And so I'm just really feeling all of the cottage feels today, and I hope you guys are enjoying this just kind of slow living homemaking video. So I'm going to take and go ahead and cover it with that layer of rice. Again, the flowers came out pretty good, but I have another way of pressing flowers. It's super easy and fast, and I think that they maintain their freshness just a little bit better. So once I had that done, I just went ahead and pulled it out and set it aside. Here is how the flowers look. You can tell they got really, really baked. So they look definitely like dried fall flowers. And they were dried out really well. And I am going to save my rice for another craft, even though it's only good for crafting. And I know that because I'm the one in my kitchen, and I will label it as well. I'm going to share with you guys a craft as we go along. But here is how they were looking. What do you guys think? I do love dried flowers and pressed flowers. So I don't feel like this one was probably the best though. But if you were needing to go for time, there's another way that I'm going to share with you guys, using paper towels and a microwave. Okay, so here is the second way of drying flowers that you all can try. You just take your flowers and put them on top of a paper towel, and you can just gently lay them on there. And once you have all your flowers on, you simply take another layer of paper towel and put it on a plate. You want to microwave it for 30 seconds, and then I microwaved mine again for another 30 seconds. They were still a little bit damp, but I set them out and they seemed to dry out. So this way I felt like the flowers really maintained their color a lot nicer. Maybe I just overbaked the flower casserole, which wouldn't be surprising for me because I have a tendency to overbake things sometimes in my kitchen. So I hope you guys are enjoying this idea and that you're inspired to pick up some pretty flowers and dry them. We're going to make some crafts with them as well. And the other way to dry flowers, you could do pressed flowers where you put it in between parchment paper and then put it in a book. I didn't have any parchment paper, so I'm going to try it with just a plastic bag, stick it in the book, and then put something heavy on top of it. This is a really darling little folk art book that I got from the thrift store. Go to your thrift store if you guys want to find cool books. You'll find the most amazing books, and they're so unique, and so many of them have art in them, which I'm going to share with you guys an idea for that next. So after trying those 3 different ways of drying flowers, the book way you're supposed to let sit for 2 weeks, so we're going to have to come back to that one. I'm going to do some of the maple leaves that I collected in my yard, and we're going to use these for several crafts in this video. I'm going to use the paper towel way because it's fast, easy, and I want these maple leaves to maintain their color. So simply lay your leaves on top of a piece of paper towel, and then you put the paper towel on top of it, microwave it for a minute, and then once you pull it out, your leaves will be really nice and dried out. You can also add hairspray to make them not crinkly and flaky. Now let's set aside those dried flowers. I have this glass from the thrift store, and I'm going to make a cone and sift the rice into it. Once I have my rice all in my bottle, I'm going to simply get that rice up, and then I wanted to create just a really kind of pretty little cottage decor idea. So this is a really budget-friendly way that you guys can decorate for fall. Simply take a ribbon or a piece of lace and tie it around any pretty bottle that you all have on hand, and then add a pretty fall leaf. I saw this on Pinterest several times, and so I thought this must be a thing. And I also feel like it's so sweet if you guys love shabby chic and lace, and it would be so easy to just cut some lace or grab some pretty lace from the thrift store, which is where I found mine, or a flea market, or Hobby Lobby has really inexpensive lace. Now I'm going to take one of those dried maple leaves that we did in the microwave. So 1 minute in the microwave in between 2 paper towels, and you're gonna have a pretty dried leaf to craft with. So you guys don't even have to go out and buy any fall leaves. But if you don't have fall leaves, Dollar Tree sells packs of leaves for $1.25, and you get probably, I think there's 50 in the pack. So here is how that looks. I think it's so pretty. I wish I had a bunch of pretty jars like this, and I could put so many things in these jars, but I am gonna start saving all my just regular jars, you know, like salsa jars and things like that, to create some pretty cottage crafts with. Now I'm going to take, and with my scissors, I'm going to make some smaller pieces of lace to tie around the top, just to make it a little bit more pretty and shabby. DIY, I want to share with you how to create some pretty art, and this is basically free. You're going to take some pieces of cardboard and I'm cutting them into a square. I want these to look really cottagey and kind of shabby chic, so I really don't want them to be perfect, which it goes against my nature, but this is an exercise in patience and love and joy. So I just took and cut some squares. I didn't have frames. I really wanted to be able to frame some of these pretty dried flowers, but instead I decided to use the cardboard, and I'm going to hot glue these coffee filters on the front as a backdrop. Now is the fun part. You can use ribbon or lace to outline to make somewhat of a frame, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to use 4 pieces of lace, and then I'm going to make a beautiful dried floral arrangement, and I'm going to make a hanger on the back so I can hang it on my wall for some beautiful cottage wall art. To create a hanger, I'm using a piece of floral wire and cardboard. That's going to create a really easy hanger, and then I simply spritzed it with a dab of hairspray so my little leaves don't flake off and fall on the floor. And then I have a beautiful piece of cottage art. I know it is a little bit crooked, but I go back and fix it, so no worries there. I hope you guys are inspired, and even though this doesn't look perfect and it looks really crafty, I thought it turned out really pretty. The next idea for cottage art is to grab an old book, and this book happened to be a folk art book, which I thought was really amazing. In fact, this last weekend I went to a beautiful museum, and there were so many different arts from different times, and this folk art reminds me of some of the art that I saw in that museum. So I'm going to take, and I do have one frame on hand that I'm going to use to frame out some beautiful folk art, and I'm choosing something that has a bit of a kitchen theme, and I thought that would be perfect for today's fall video. For this next DIY, we're going to make some homemade chocolate chip cookies, and I'm not very creative with my baking as far as going out of the box for recipes. I simply use the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie recipe that's on the chocolate chip cookie bag, and that's 3/4 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, the called for butter. I usually just throw in 2 sticks, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then you're going to want to mix that. And this is such a yummy part right here with the sugar and the vanilla extract and the butter. Oh my goodness. I will leave the recipe in the description box. My kiddos love this recipe. The next thing I want to add are 2 eggs, and then I want to beat that really well. And again, this is just such a family favorite. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your favorite cookie recipe is. And if you're brave enough, share that recipe. And if I'm brave enough, I might try to bake it on camera for you guys. But I guess if it's not broke, I'm not going to try to fix it. So my kids love this, and my kids are kind of funny where they like a certain taste. So especially my son, he wants things to taste a certain way. It has to taste mom's way when it comes to chocolate chip cookies. So the next thing we're going to add is the flour, and I like to mix that in a separate bowl. It's going to be 2 1/4 cup of flour, and then you want to add in your baking soda, and that's a teaspoon. I like to go ahead and add that, whisk that, and then begin to add it into my sugary mix, which is so delicious. Do you guys eat the cookie dough batter? I always have. I grew up always eating it, even though I do know that there's raw egg in there. But I know, there a lot of people say you're not supposed to. So a fun fact, I went to Costa Rica with my dad when I first graduated from high school, and they don't refrigerate their eggs there. So what are your thoughts on that? This might be controversial bringing up a subject like this, but anyway, I do refrigerate my eggs, but I just thought that was interesting. The next thing I'm going to add is the yummiest part of all, and that's those chocolate chips. Sometimes I'll measure out and do 2 cups, and then usually I just throw in the whole bag and try not to eat too many while I'm making them. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and give that a good mixy mix. I preheat my oven to 350 degrees. I also put my chocolate chip cookie dough in the refrigerator to kind of cool off while I'm making them. I cook them for exactly 8 to 9 minutes, and I let them cool on the pan for 5 minutes. I don't let them go past 9 minutes, and there you have a nice delicious cookie. So I'm gonna now take my delicious cookies and put them in this cute little brown paper bag as if I was packing them up for a friend. I would probably put them in a plastic bag as well. I am actually out of plastic bags. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tie a pretty piece of twine around it, and then this is just kind of like a fall cookie bag idea for you guys. I added a piece of lace. I think these would be beautiful to give out to neighbors. Put a couple cookies. I would put them inside of a Ziploc, like a little Ziploc, sandwich bag, and then put them in the brown bag. But there you guys have that. I thought it was so sweet. We're going to do some more crafts, but I thought I would throw in a nice little recipe for you guys. Now here's a super easy budget-friendly craft that you all can do using the Dollar Tree scarves. So I'm simply taking the Dollar Tree scarf, and I found it in this buffalo check plaid fabric, and I'm going to hot glue the fabric together. You guys could also easily get fabric from the fabric store, or you could use a sheet, really whatever type of fabric that you love, that you want to make pumpkins out of. But because this is a Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to use those scarves, so I'm very gently going to hot glue the scarves together. You also might want to use finger protectors. I don't have really I have really pretty tough fingers on the ends of my fingers, so, and I'm just using this little popsicle stick to kind of help seal it together. And what we're going to do though is make some fabric pumpkins. I'm going to use my old pizza pan, and I'm just going to trace a big old circle. This is super easy, and I have shared with you guys so many different fabric pumpkins before, but this is such a fun one. And you guys can also go out to your yard to collect sticks for your little pumpkin stems. So super duper easy. So once we have that done, we're just going to go ahead and trim out the center, and then we are going to sew it into somewhat of like a little pouch and then stuff it. Oh, these come out so adorable, and you guys could easily pop a show on, kick down the AC, and really get to town. So I'm going to use this thicker string this time. The last one I did, I used too thin of a string and it popped open. You just take your string and you go in, out, and then that is going to make that little pouch. And you guys can make these really jumbo or really small, whatever size, but I do suggest you using a nice thick rope or string. And then one of you guys commented too that you can use dental floss, which is an awesome idea as well. Now that we have our little pouch all sewn up, we are going to add in that stuffing. This is the fun part. You guys can get really creative and pop your little stuffing in, and then whatever type of stem you want to do. I think for this one, it's going to be kind of rustic looking, so we are just going to grab one from the yard, and these are perfect. I've also been going on walks with Tinky Bear and just trimming, or on my walk taking like a bag, and that way I have something to collect little pumpkin stems with. People might think it's a bit strange, but anyway, so once I have my stem in, I'm going to go ahead and pull that close and then just tie it off. These are so cute and so super duper easy, and they make such a great little fabric pumpkin for popping into some little buckets or sitting around your mantle or wherever you need a fun little fabric pumpkin. So we don't want to waste any of the leftovers of the scarf that we used for our pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is just take it and cut it into strips. Again, this is that Dollar Tree scarf. I'm going to cut it into strips. You guys can, just use any fabric you want to make a little rag garland. These are so fun and easy to make. And the longer you make the strips, the easier they will be to tie on to your piece of string. You guys can also sew them as well. So just however suits your fancy, and you guys can even make little rag garland wreaths, which I've shared with you guys during Christmas time. So I know I have a good little pile here. I'm going to take some just burlap fabric ribbon. I think I got this sent to me a couple years ago, so I've had this for quite some time, but I'm just going to cut it down the center, and that's going to give us a little bit more bang for our buck. And then I'm just going to cut it into strips kind of about the same size as the pieces of the black and white. So now I'm just going to take my string, and this is from the automotive section, I believe, but just tie it onto there. It's super easy, you guys. You guys can have your kids help you do something like this. Again, if you do make your ties a little bit longer, they can be a little bit easier to tie. So here's a fun Dollar Tree craft. I'm going to make some homemade chalk paint. So you're going to take 1 cup of regular paint to half a cup of baking soda for that homemade chalk paint. Then I'm going to take just some old Dollar Tree florals and I want to paint them white and give them just a little bit of new look and life. And this is also going to make them really nice and stiff with that chalk paint. So they're going to flower out and not be kind of wilty looking. So if you guys want to repurpose some of your sunflowers that are your fake sunflowers, this is a fun idea, especially if you love that shabby chic look. So I'm just going to go ahead and give them a good coat of paint here. And that homemade chalk paint is really, really good for crafting. It's not so good for painting furniture unless it's like a really junky old piece of furniture, because it can be kind of gritty with the baking soda in there. You know, unless you're able to really give it a good mixy, but mine's always been a little bit gritty. But for crafting, it is on point. It is good, and it's much cheaper than the regular chalk paint. Okay, so once we have that finished, we're just gonna set that aside. And here I'm gonna do another one. Oh my goodness, this is a nice big daisy. Okay, so once I have those nice and chalk painted, I'm just gonna use some Elmer's glue. And we're going to add some Sparkle Darkle to the center of this. These are so fun. You guys could get really creative. You could add little pearls, glam jewels, whatever you love to the center of these. I'm going to take some pretty glammy glitter for this one. And you can really just do double duty here. Shake that on and boom. How pretty is this? And I think that I did get that chunky glam glitter from Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm going to pop it in to my cute little rustic setting here. And what do you guys think? I think it's fabulous. Okay, now we are going to bake some pine cones I collected in my yard. So for pine cone baking, you probably want to set your oven at about 250 is what I set mine at. And then you want to bake your pine cones for about 30 to 60 minutes. I collected these actually from a neighbor's house. They had kind of like piled them all in a spot. And so I'm just going to pile them on this aluminum baking sheet. You want to put down wax paper or foil. You can also add in some oils once they're done baking to make them super smelly. I've done this craft before, and you guys can also paint them, but you do want to bake pine cones before you set them out in your house. If you get them out from a yard, they can carry like some little buggies you may not want in your home, which we want to be cognizant of. And so then once I had this done, I tried to do this just by memory. I ended up baking my pine cones for like 2 hours. That was probably a little bit too long, but they're definitely probably bug free. And I will tell you, while I was baking them, oh my goodness, the pine cone evergreen smell was so delicious. It was better than any candle. I thought it made my house smell so good. So go ahead and pop them into the oven. This is when I had my flour casserole going. I promise you guys, that is not a real casserole. There's flowers in there that were dehydrated. Okay, so now once I have these done, I'm going to put them in a pretty little bowl. I got this bowl at the thrift store, and then I'm going to add some essential oils. You guys can make potpourri and add really whatever you love. I had some vanilla on hand. I wish I had some clove oil, but I think I might have some if I look around. But yeah, just go ahead and put them in a pretty bowl and add in some nice oils. Since I had my oven on, I decided to go ahead and bake some oranges. You can make these into ornaments, but I want to use them for potpourri. So I'm going to bake them at 250 degrees. I put them in for about 30 minutes, but I do think that they should bake a little bit longer. I'm also adding cinnamon to these to make them look a little bit more fall. So after I had baked them for about 30 minutes, I had just actually took them out and set them out in the sun, because where I'm at right now, it's 90 degrees. Even though we're doing fall crafting, it is so hot. In fact, I've had to wait till late in the evening when the sun's completely down to even take my little puppy dog Tinky Bear for a walk, although this morning I was able to get him out earlier in the morning. So here is how those look. I have them with the cinnamon on there, and then I'm just going to add them into my little potpourri setting here. I've got the fresh flowers and the fresh cookies and the pretty art that we made. So many fun crafts in this video. I hope you guys are loving it and are so inspired. Again, this is episode 4 in my huge I Love Fall series. Now on our next video, I am going to be announcing a new giveaway for you guys, which I'm super excited about. So stay tuned. And thank you so much for being here. It is truly a blessing and an honor to have you guys. I wanted to give you a little bit more of that beautiful fall aesthetic. I wanted to make this super cottage friendly as well as super budget friendly. So I hope every single craft is attainable for every single budget. And I think they're some of them are pretty age friendly as well. I think your kids could help you with a lot of these different ideas. So I hope you guys love it. Here I'm also just sharing what I made for dinner. I made rice bowls with veggies, and then I baked some carrots for about 20 minutes in avocado oil and some salt and garlic powder. And then I just have a rice veggie bowl with zucchini, tomatoes, and then a little bit of sour cream cilantro sauce. And this was my dinner. So I hope you guys are loving it. I just want to share so many different things with you guys. I feel really creative and artistic this season. So I hope you guys are loving it and enjoying it. And here is my nice little cup of hot tea. I also am going to share the Bible study with you guys at the end of this video. So I hope you guys are here for this. And then of course we have my trusty assistant Tinky Bear. He is sniffing it up, helping me find all the fall leaves. I call his walks, they're like a scratch and sniff walk. I've been trying to grab more footage for you guys of Tinky Bear. She really just loves to eat and be harassed by Tinky Bear. Well, she doesn't really like that, but you know. And there's Tinky Bear getting his grub on as well. So anyway, we're gonna have to decorate his little space for fall. So Tinky Bear lives outside. She is an outside key cat. She found us and loves her outdoor space, although she does have an indoor space as well when she chooses to, but she's very independent. And then of course Tinky Bear enjoying some yummy tummy treats. We love you guys. Thank you for being here. Hi to all those puppy dog and kitty cat fans, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you all so much for joining me on another fun and fabulous crafting and decorating adventure. I hope you guys are inspired to craft and decorate something fabulous on a budget. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's totally free. It helps me out so much. I am a full-time content creator. Meet my little puppy dog, Tinky Bear, if you guys already have not. He is my 4-year-old terrier, and he is my trusty assistant in my studio on a daily basis. Also, listen, don't forget to follow me on my Olivia's Romantic Home Facebook page. page where I share daily DIYs over there. Now, we have been enjoying a super fun Bible study, and really it's just a devotional, I guess, not so much a Bible study, but so many of you guys have been commenting on that, and so we are going to do another one today. This little devotional is called God's Words of Wisdom for Women, God's Words of Life for Women. Okay, and so our last one, let's go back and see. Our last one was about faith. So our next one is going to be about, I've been sharing them at the end of every video, so if you guys need to catch up, go back and check that out. So let's go ahead and jump into this devotional on finances. This says Solomon's finances. I picked up a newspaper the other day and saw that according to the latest statistics, our family had just pulled out of the poverty level. I had never realized our financial state of affairs was so poor. In spite of what statistics say, we aren't forced to do without clothes. We enjoy 3 square meals a day, and the roof over our head is paid for, even if we shingled it ourselves. Now, the experts tell me we have only been subsisting, and I wonder what real living is like. For some people in this world, poverty is a stark reality. For others, it is just a state of mind. How disturbed should we be if our income falls below the national average or even below the neighbors? There is always the possibility that I am poor because I feel poor, not because I lack necessities. Rather than striving to obtain a better standard of living by simply making more money, perhaps I need to adjust my attitude towards spending. If we are sincerely willing to try to stay within the amount of God that God has allotted us, I believe He will honor our efficiency. Now then, it is wise to go over the budget systematically, bearing in mind, because bearing in mind Solomon's wise advice, give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. And that's Proverbs 38. So in my devotional, there's one side that shares the devotional, and then the other side shares some of God's scripture out of the Bible that goes along with it. So we're going to read some of the scripture about finances. This says, be on guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. And that's from Luke 12:15. Let no debt remain outstanding except for the continuing debt to love one another, for he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. Romans 13:8. I feel like the best things in life cannot be bought, and that is definitely loving the people that we have in our life. Jesus said, do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all those things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:31-33. The last one says, remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your forefathers as it is today. And that is Deuteronomy 8:18. So I think this is a really good one for us to focus on being a good steward of our finances. I told you guys at the beginning of this crafting season that I was going to strive to use what I have and not buy new supplies for the season, and I'm going to try to uphold that to the best of my ability. I haven't shopped for anything for fall yet this year, and as you guys can tell, I have plenty. It looks bountiful, and I'm just repainting and repurposing things, and I'm blessed for everything that I have. Now remember, go back and check out some of my other fall decor videos in this series and in my fall decor playlist. It's huge, you guys. I've been on YouTube for 6 seasons, but I have shared with you guys how you can make cardboard pumpkins and so many different ideas. And so I just hope that this is going to inspire you. Can't wait for the rest of the video series. Tinky Bear missed us while we were out of town, and I have just been really giving him so many cuddles, as you guys can tell. He's 4 years old this year. He's a little 4-year-old terrier. He is a Yorkie Jack Russell mix. So he is so full of energy, and he is my little best bud, running around everywhere I go and everything I do. So anyway, I hope that this video has blessed you guys and inspired you. And I just want to give honor and glory to God, and also to thank you all so much for the kind comments and for being a community of love and joy and respect, and knowing that your words are important, that we all have a voice. We're going to use our voice for good. And that good is in the comment section. You guys have that power to pray for one another. If you need prayer, drop those prayer requests down below. We have the power to encourage one another, to be kind online. Oh gosh, our world has moved into such an online format now. I just think that we really need to remember to be kind to one another, especially online, because the written word is powerful. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. It's a blessing and honor to have you here. I can't wait for our next video. And until then, be kind to yourselves and be kind to one another. Keep going. Don't give up. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye.
That I love you.